Welcome to tonight's video. I thought I would at last do what a lot of you have been asking me to do, which is take you on a little walk around of what's been my primary racing rig, for the last couple of years. I'm always getting people in the comments saying, Carl, can you do a little walk around video showing us exactly what you've got on your rig? What's that wind set up there? And what's that digital dash you use? And all those little bits and bobs that people want to know about. So because I'm going to be moving everything off of this soon onto the GT Omega Prime cockpit you see in the background there, I've ordered the bits I need for the monitor stand now, so I can actually get everything off, get it all onto the new cockpit, and I've got some changes I'm going to make as well as I do this. Some stuff's going to stay, some stuff isn't going to stay. There's going to be some new bits and bobs I'm adding to it too. So I thought before I tear this all down, and it is no longer, and I can't take you on a little walk around video, I thought tonight I'll take you on that walk around video. So I'll grab the camera and we'll take a little stroll, have a goosey around my setup, and I'll explain what I've got, how it works and what I think of it all. So let's get on to that. I suppose the first thing we should talk about is the cockpit itself. Many of you will know what this is already. It's a GT Omega Art racing cockpit that I've modified with some red bracing at the side to remove some of the up and down flex in the wheel deck. And obviously I've added a cross brace at the front there to remove left to right flex. I've done videos on these, so take a peek, through my sim racing playlist, and you'll find those videos in there if you're interested on how to do it. So that is the base cockpit, GT Omega Art cockpit. It comes with the RS6 seat, which I've had this all for over 2 years now, and everything's still in great condition. I did a review of the Art cockpit not so long ago as well, but that is the base cockpit. I've also got the Art monitor stand. You can see attached. It comes out of the two uprights just above where my red cross brace is, and then uses the Vaser or Vesa mount, however it's pronounced, on the back of my TV here. Now, some of you are going to laugh because you may have noticed that the top part of the monitor mount is not actually engaged with the top Vesa or Vaser mounts, and you're right, it isn't, and that's because I'm using a 50-inch TV. And the stand technically only supports, I think, a 40-inch TV. But also, as you can see, it works just fine. The TV doesn't wobble around, enough to worry about, and it's yet to fall off. So if anyone wants to know whether you can put bigger than 40-inch on your Art monitor mount, the answer is yes, you can. So that's what I've got on there. I suppose we may as well talk about the TV next. This is just an old 50-inch plasma TV that actually was left in this house when I moved in. The guy was going to throw it away, and I said no. I said I'll have that and I'll use it to throw on here. What I like about plasmas is their pixel response time is really, really fast, so you don't get anything in the way of sort of persistence or motion blur compared to an LCD or an LED TV, or certainly not older ones, like my 65-inch Panasonic there. If you flick from one to the other, you do notice a difference. This is quite a bit crisper when it comes to pixel persistence and motion blur. They're also very vibrant plasma TVs, but they do suffer with burn-in should you have, something static on the screen for a long time. So here's another thing. I use my TV like it's a windscreen in my car when I'm racing. I have no dials, no gauges, no nothing on there apart from what I would see looking out of the windscreen of my car, and that's the way I like. And that's why I use the view I use as well, because it's if I'm just looking out of that windscreen. So as far as dials and gauges go, I have a 10-inch tablet, just an Android tablet. It's an Asus or Asus, however it's pronounced, 10-inch tablet there. I've had that for, again, a couple of years. And that's just on some ropey sort of gooseneck type attachment that clamps down here onto my wheel deck. I did actually have to glue that here because it broke off. It was a cheap Chinese one, so it's my own fault. Tablet actually fell off, hit the ground. Thankfully it didn't break. But that's what I use as like my heads-up display and my dashboard. So I have my speed and what gear I'm in and my revs and all the things you might have on your TV otherwise. I have that all on there, and I use a program called Sim Dashboard for that. So you have it for Android, you have it on your computer, and it sends a telemetry over. There's all sorts of different dash layouts and configurations you can have, but that's what I use for that. What else have we got? The people have asked about these harnesses before. They're just, I mean, you can see they're STR safety restraint systems. They are a proper racing harness and was about 70 or 80 quid, 5-point jobby. That sometimes I use with the motion platform, and sometimes I don't. I'll talk about that in another video because it has its pros and cons, put it that way. But that's what that is. What other silly accessories have I got? Oh, well, we can't, you know, we should all have a racing magic tree. So there's my Vanilla Roma magic tree. If you're from the UK, you've probably all had one of those in your car in the 80s, back in the day, in our Ford Escorts, their XR3Is, or a little Fiesta XR2 maybe. And then we've got, so the ducting, another common one that people always ask about. Carl, what is the ducting for that you've got there? So you can see it's either side of the steering wheel, and it blows obviously straight at me. Now this ducting comes down around here to a fan, one either side. And these are, what are they called? They're Nidec is the brand. Again, it might not be pronounced like that, but it's NIDC. I think, I can't remember exactly what the model is. But anyway, they were the highest flowing fans I could find that would run at 12 volts and below the maximum rated amperage of the power supply that I'm using with the controller that controls them. Now, the controller that controls them is just double-sided taped there. So you can see it's all exposed. And each fan just plugs into one of these connections here, one to the left, one to the right. That then goes into a power supply, which I've got tucked just under there. Now, that little controller board and the software that I use to control it, I bought from simprojects.com, and the software that controls it also from them, confusingly, is called SimDash. So we've got SimDashboard that controls our dashboard, and then SimDash from SimProjects that controls our fans. Now they are speed-based fans, so the faster you go, the more wind you have coming at you. It's just a nice little touch, you know. It keeps you cool, and it's just another physical feedback about how fast you're moving, and I quite like that. So what else have we got? Okay, so I suppose other accessories. Underneath I don't know whether we'll be able to see this or not, but I'm going to try. Underneath, because it's dark obviously, underneath there you can just make out a tactile transducer. Hopefully, if I get in a bit closer. That round thing stuck on the underneath of the pedal deck. The tactile transducer there, and there's another one under my seat, just there. You can just about make it out in the middle of the seat. They obviously give me vibration or tactile feedback based on the lumps and bumps in the road as I'm going up and down over things. Now I've just got a twin configuration, one under the seat, one under the pedal deck. And that will simulate what the whole car is doing. You can run a 4 tactile transducer setup, one that represents each wheel of the car, and this is what I'm going to experiment with on my new rig. And you can run them in addition to those 2 there. So you can have feedback from each of the 4 wheels, whatever they're doing, whatever lumps and bumps and potholes they're going through, especially in a rally stage for what I do mostly. And then you can have, the other 2 for like maybe engine vibrations, gear change. Maybe if you do a big jump, you have all 6, respond and give you a nice thud at the same time. So I'm going to be going from a twin transducer setup to 6 altogether, I think, if I can get it all wired up properly and fit them all somewhere that feels like they're going to work. I've got to do some experimentation first. To control that, I use Sim Commander, which is probably one of the most unnecessarily complicated pieces of software I've ever used when it comes to sim racing. And it takes a while to get to grips with. But yeah, that's what I use for that. So what else have we got? Okay, so more sort of random custom accessories. I suppose my handbrake might come into that category. It is a load cell. It's a load cell handbrake, and it's a micro switch handbrake. I'll do a separate video on this, but it's total DIY. I'll do a quick zoom in. You can see it's completely DIY'd. There's a little controller board to the left there, and there's actually another one under there as well to do your load cell interface and USB interface. The handbrake itself is from an old BMW E30 drift car that I used to have with my brother. But yeah, that's what that is. And then we've just got Fanatic shifter. Obviously I mostly race H-pan, as some of you will know. And then we've got the V3 pedals down there in the normal configuration, not mounted inverted. Of course, load cell brake. And what I particularly like about these pedals is the simulated biting point on the clutch. It actually, there's like a cam, and you get to a certain point and you feel the pressure difference change. And I really like that because that's how real clutches feel. We've then got my Thrustmaster TSPC racer wheelbase with the Sparco R383 mod steering wheel. I've had this a while. You can see the, not the Alcantara, the suede has obviously sort of polished, so to speak, itself over time as I've been using it. It's just the way it does, especially if you don't wear gloves like I don't. But that's still holding up well 2 years in, and that gets some real stick, especially, you know, in the likes of dirt rally. So what else? Anything else left? Oh, I suppose last but not least, underneath here we have my Dolph Reality M2 motion platform. So there's one motor here, there's another motor there, and then the power supply is actually this big rectangular box I fitted in the middle there, using the original uprights that would be here to hold the seat on. They actually make a nice little tray for it, should anybody, you know, want to do that. And the wires sort of sit kind of neatly cable tied at the front there. I had to obviously do some butchery to make things fit, but there's another whole video on that as well, should anybody want to watch it. The Art Cockpit has two different shifter mounts. I'm using this one. There's another one you can get that bolts on the front here, and I think one that comes upright from there as well, potentially. I have got them all kicking about somewhere. But yeah, that is what I've been using for the last couple of years. Let's just spin the camera around and say hello to you guys. Yeah, that's what I've been using for the last couple of years. And you've all been asking me, you know, time and time again, Carl, can you do a little walk around? So that's a little walk around before I, you know, strip it down and move everything over to the Prime cockpit, which I'm really looking forward to, because the extra rigidity that I felt testing that Prime cockpit, even using the Logitech stuff, is just, I can't wait to get all my, you know, all my main gear over there and really benefit from that rigidity. And also, you know, potentially adding those extra tactile transducers in as well to give me individual wheel feedback, as well as an overall feeling of what the car's doing in the terrain it's going over. So I think there's nothing else there that I haven't gone over, I don't think. If you've got any questions, stick them in the comments as always. I think that is pretty much it, but I'll do a separate handbrake video, because a DIY handbrake load cell handbrake is probably something you guys might be interested in. So I will do one of those before I rip it off of there. It isn't actually going onto my new rig. I've got a new handbrake to use for that. Some of you did guess it when I put the box up a while ago. So yeah, I won't be using that, and this rig will be being moved on to someone once I finally got it all stripped apart and got everything off. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. I hope it's been interesting and answered a few of your questions about what the different things are, the ducting and the, you know, the little 10-inch tablet and all this, that and the other, and how I run my tactile transducers. Hopefully has answered those questions. But have a great weekend. It should be Friday night tonight. So yeah, have a good Friday night, have a good weekend. And as always, take it easy.